Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something that, well, it often feels truly mystical, doesn't it? The ability of certain people, mentalists, maybe top salespeople, negotiators, to seemingly read minds or just flawlessly guide your decisions.
It definitely looks like magic sometimes.
Oh, right. But what our sources are telling us again and again is that the real power, the repeatable stuff, it's actually a deep grasp of human psychology, specifically how our brains work, and maybe more importantly, how they kind of fail.
That's exactly the key distinction, I think.
Yeah.
We're not talking supernatural here. We're discussing phenomena that operate right at the edge of our conscious awareness, our rational limits. If you understand the rules of that system, well, you can exploit them.
So our mission today, it's pretty ambitious. We've got this stack of material cognitive science research, Maslow's hierarchy, classical conditioning studies, even like secret taxonomies from professional magicians.
Right.
And we want to pull out the core principles: influence, attention control, why we make decisions the way we do.
We really want to give you a framework, a way to understand how knowing the brain's built-in limitations, its reliance on shortcuts, allows for really profound, but often very subtle persuasion.
Okay, let's get into it then, starting right at the foundation. Decision-making. Why are we so, predictably irrational sometimes?
You really have to start with bounded rationality. Herbert Simon talked about this way back in the 50s.
Okay.
The idea is actually pretty simple. We're smart, we try to make good decisions, but we're doing it within real constraints. Limited time, limited info, and crucially limited brain processing power.
So we just can't be purely rational calculators all the time.
Exactly. The computation involved would be immense. We just can't do it.
So because we can't process everything, the brain develops shortcuts, heuristics.
Precisely. Those are the famous heuristics that Kahneman and Tversky spent decades mapping out.
Like the availability bias.
Yeah, take the availability bias. That's our tendency to over-rely on information that just comes to mind easily. Stuff that's readily available in our memory, regardless of how accurate or frequent it really is. And the real power for influence isn't just knowing that bias exists. It's knowing how to sort of preload the information you want the person to recall easily later on.
So you make your facts the most memorable.
You make them the most salient, the most emotionally vivid, the most recently mentioned thing in their mental stack. So when they reach for a shortcut, yours is right there.
Okay, here's something that really jumped out at me from the sources, kind of counterintuitive. You'd think being an expert, like a doctor or a financial advisor, would help you avoid these cognitive traps.
You would think that.
But the research suggests expertise can actually make the biased blind spot worse. How does being sophisticated lead to more stubborn mistakes?
It's fascinating, isn't it? It seems to be because the sophisticated person uses their advanced reasoning skills not to correct the error, but to actually justify the biased conclusion after they've already reached it. They have more intellectual tools to rationalize a gut feeling they probably shouldn't trust. And on top of that, if you're highly emotionally invested in a choice, say a big career decision or a major investment, that biased blind spot gets even stronger.
Why is that?
Because admitting your choice was swayed by a simple shortcut kind of threatens your self-image as this rational, careful decision maker.
Okay, so people use predictable shortcuts. The next step for influence is figuring out the deeper psychological levers. What actually makes people move? You mentioned Maslow's hierarchy.
Absolutely. Maslow gives us a fantastic map of motivation. You got the basic needs at the bottom, physiological stuff, safety, then moving up to higher level drivers like social belonging, esteem, and finally self-actualization.
Right.
To really connect emotionally, to find that psychological trigger for significant action, you have to figure out and speak directly to their dominant motivation level at that moment.
So it changes the whole pitch. It's not about selling the thing itself anymore.
Exactly. It's about selling the psychological need that the thing fulfills. The release, the achievement, whatever it is.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say you're selling, complex SaaS software. You could focus on the features, how it crunches numbers efficiently.
The logical stuff.
Right. Or you could emphasize how using this software helps the individual user look smart, get noticed by management, maybe even achieve a leadership role in their team.
So you're hitting the esteem or achievement needs.
Precisely. That emotional layer shifts the whole conversation. It's not just a cost-benefit analysis anymore. It's suddenly a story about their personal success and fulfillment. Much more powerful.
Okay, so moving from those internal motivations to controlling things moment to moment, let's talk attention. manipulating attention seems like the absolute master key for misdirection. What's going on in the brain when we focus, and how is that spotlight actually controlled?
Well, when you think about where your attention goes, you're essentially looking at an interplay between two major complementary systems of the brain. First, you have the dorsal attention system, the DAN. Think of the DAN as your deliberate focus controller. It's involved in the voluntary top-down deployment of attention.
Like when I decide to look for my keys.
Exactly. You decide you need to find your keys in a messy room, and the DAN organizes that goal-directed search. It's your conscious effort.
Got it. What's the other one?
Then there's the ventral attention system, or VAN. The VAN is more like the brain's alarm bell. It's responsible for reorienting your attention automatically to things that are unexpected, sudden, or just highly salient. It's bottom-up sensory input grabbing you.
So the sudden loud bang, or a bright flash of light.
That's the VAN kicking in. And interestingly, specific brain regions like the right inferior parietal lobe and the TPJ, the temporal parietal junction, are really key here. They act as these reorienting hubs, especially when the thing you thought you should be focusing on turns out to be wrong or irrelevant.
So if the DAN is me consciously driving the car looking for a street sign, the VAN is the system that makes me swerve suddenly when a deer jumps out. It forces me to look somewhere else, whether I wanted to or not.
That's a perfect analogy. And the core insight here for influence is this. Attention itself is the output of your executive control system.
Okay.
Your executive control selects the target. So if a performer or a negotiator can subtly hijack that executive control, they effectively redirect where your attention ends up.
And magicians have developed really specific techniques to play exactly on these neural systems. Our sources laid out a fascinating taxonomy. Let's touch on a few that target the DAN and VAN.
Okay. First, there's implicit control.
Yeah.
This is pure manipulation of that orienting response, using subtle suggestions you don't even notice.
How does that work?
A magician won't just say, "Look at the coin." Instead, they might use their speech to just naturally mention the coin, or gesture near it, maybe multiple times. This guides your internal executive control to select the coin as an attention target, but you feel like you chose to look there yourself. You don't register the command.
Sneaky. Okay, what's the second tactic? Mundane reduction. This one seems brilliant because it uses boredom against us.
It really is. It exploits the brain's natural habit of dropping attention on things that seem repetitive or unimportant.
So the secret move doesn't happen the first time they do something.
Exactly. If I need to hide something, I don't do it on the first repetition. When the action is new and you're paying close attention, I wait until the third or fourth time I perform a seemingly boring action, like picking up an empty cup.
Because by then my brain's thinking, okay, seen this, nothing important here.
Right. The task seems routine, your attention has relaxed, and your brain's DAN allocates fewer resources to monitor it closely. That's when the hidden action occurs.
Clever. And the third one, justified action. Hiding things in plain sight.
If an action seems to have a logical reason within a context, like the performer scratches their nose, adjusts their glasses, or reaches for a prop, you're far less likely to scrutinize that action closely.
Because it makes sense in the moment.
Precisely. Your brain doesn't flag it as suspicious if the movement fits the natural flow of events. You're not looking for deception if the action seems justified.
Okay, so beyond controlling attention right now, long-term influence often relies on conditioning. Teaching the brain to link things together. We should probably clarify the two main types of behavioral learning.
Definitely. Let's start with Pavlov and his dogs. Classical conditioning. This is passive learning. It's reflexive. It happens when you associate two stimuli together.
A neutral one and an unconditioned one.
Right. A neutral stimulus gets paired repeatedly with an unconditioned stimulus that naturally causes a response. Eventually, the neutral stimulus alone triggers an involuntary reflexive response, the conditioned response.
Like your example earlier. My dog hears my keys jingle neutral and gets excited. Conditioned response. Because keys always mean a walk. Unconditioned stimulus. It's automatic for him now.
Exactly. And this isn't just for dogs. It's used everywhere. Think about advertising pairing a product neutral with feelings of happiness or success unconditioned until seeing the product makes you feel good. It's even used therapeutically, like systematic desensitization for phobias.
Okay, so that's passive association. What about the other kind? Links to B.F. Skinner, operant conditioning.
Operant conditioning is different because it's active, voluntary learning. Here, a specific behavior is linked to a consequence.
A reward or a punishment.
Yes. That consequence determines whether you choose to repeat that voluntary behavior in the future. learn to do X because you expect Y to happen as a result.
So in a negotiation, you might offer a concession, reinforcement, only after the other side makes a move you want.
Precisely. You're using consequences to shape their voluntary actions, reinforcing the behaviors you want to see more of.
Okay, conditioning shapes behavior. But the real long game in influence often seems to involve messing with what people remember. Or maybe what they think they remember. How reliable is our memory, really?
Oh, it's incredibly unstable. Far less stable than we like to believe. The common idea of memory being like a perfect recording, it's just wrong.
So memory misdirection isn't about erasing things.
Not usually. It's more about controlling the reconstructive process. When you recall an event, you're not just pulling up a file, you're actively rebuilding the sequence.
And filling in gaps.
Filling in gaps? Sometimes substituting details from other similar events without even realizing it. Our memory is surprisingly malleable.
That sounds a bit abstract, but the research you found makes it very concrete. You mentioned studies on false memories showing people often misremember the endings of events, false extension errors.
Yes, it's fascinating. If an event sequence ended abruptly or at an unexpected point, participants were much more likely to incorrectly recall it as having finished naturally, following a typical pattern.
Why does that happen?
It seems our existing knowledge, our mental scripts about how events usually unfold, biases our recall. We expect events to have complete logical endings, so if the actual memory is incomplete,
The brain sort of auto-completes it, fills in the expected ending.
pretty much, it reconstructs a more narratively satisfying or typical conclusion. You genuinely remember the event finishing normally, even if it didn't.
And you said this gets worse over time.
Significantly. The study showed this memory distortion was much more frequent after a week's delay compared to testing immediately after the event. Time gives the brain more opportunity to smooth things over, to replace the slightly jarring reality with a more coherent, expected narrative.
The implication is huge then. If you can influence someone's expectations about an event.
You can effectively influence their future memory of that event. Prime the expectation, and you control the recollection down the line.
Okay, wow. So we've covered cognitive limits, motivation, attention control, memory reconstruction. Let's look at some really high leverage techniques used in places like mentalism and tough negotiations. We absolutely have to start with the classic cold reading.
Yes, cold reading. It's the poster child for influence based on psychology and probability, not psychic powers.
How does it actually work?
It's a combination plan. Careful observation is key, picking up clues from appearance, clothes, posture, tiny micro-expressions. Then you mix that with high probability guesses based on demographics.
And you mentioned psychological principles.
Two big ones amplify it. The Barnum effect. That's our tendency to accept vague general statements as uniquely true about ourselves. Think horoscopes. And of course, confirmation bias, where we seize on anything that confirms the statement and ignore anything that contradicts it.
The math behind it is what really gets me. You share an example. A mentalist with an audience of, say, 200 people. If each person knows maybe 150 others, that mentalist is effectively fishing in a pool of 30,000 potential connections. So when they throw out a common name like Laura or a vague feeling about a recent loss,
the odds of getting a hit, of someone in the audience finding that highly specific and meaningful, are actually pretty good. And the technique itself is designed to make the audience do the work. Skilled cold readers often phrase things as questions disguised as statements. Not, I see a man connected to water, but is there a connection to water, perhaps sailing or living near the coast?
So the person connects the dots themselves.
Exactly. They guide the reading, fill in the specifics, and feel like they made the connection. And the golden rule really is always frame things positively or in a way the subject wants to hear. Steer away from negatives.
Okay, next up, something that explains phenomena like Ouija boards or dowsing rods. The ideomotor effect. This one feels really counterintuitive.
It does, but it's well established. The term literally means idea motor. The core idea is that simply concentrating on an idea or a mental image can trigger a tiny, involuntary muscular action that corresponds to it.
Like thinking about biting a lemon makes you salivate.
That's a great example. Or visualizing yourself running can actually increase your heart rate slightly. Your body responds to the thought.
So how does that explain something like a Ouija board, where it feels like an external force is moving the planchette?
It's because all the participants are making tiny, quasi-involuntary muscle movements based on their subconscious expectations or desires for the answer.
Quasi-involuntary?
Meaning they aren't consciously deciding to push it, but their focused thought, I hope it spells out yes, creates push in that direction because everyone is doing it slightly and unconsciously.
The combined force is enough to move it, but nobody feels like they're the one doing all the work.
Exactly. It creates that distinct sensation of an external force. And mentalists actually train themselves to become incredibly sensitive to these minute, unconscious micro-movements in their subjects, reading tiny shifts in muscle tension to figure out what someone might be thinking or about to choose.
Amazing. Okay, let's wrap with a few quick high-impact techniques used a lot in persuasion and negotiation. First, mirroring.
Mirroring is simple but effective. It's subtly mimicking another person's nonverbal cues, their posture, maybe their hand gesture, even the pace of their speech.
But subtly, right, not like obviously copying them.
Oh, absolutely. You need a slight delay. It shouldn't feel like parody. When done well, it taps into our subconscious preference for familiarity. It builds rapport, trust, and cooperation because, on a deep level, we feel more comfortable with people who seem in sync with us.
Okay. Second, priming. This ties back to what we said about attention and memory.
Definitely. Priming is all about setting the stage. You use specific words, ideas, or images before the main decision point to subtly nudge the person's thoughts in a particular direction.
So they arrive at the conclusion you want, but feel like they got there on their own.
That's the goal. It preserves their feeling of autonomy while guiding the outcome.
And third, a double hitter. Equivoke and social proof. Let's start with equivoke using ambiguity.
Equivoke is all about careful language. It's linguistic sleight of hand. For example, instead of asking someone to select a card, which implies a single fixed choice, the mentalist might ask them to simply indicate a card or touch two cards. That ambiguity gives the performer options to interpret the action in a way that forces the desired outcome, all while the spectator believes they made a completely free choice.
Very clever phrasing. And finally, social proof. This seems like basic human nature.
It is, but it's powerful. Instead of trying to persuade someone directly, especially in a group, it's often far more effective to leverage the opinions of their peers.
So you find the people already on board and give them a voice.
Exactly. You show the target individual that people like them already agree with the idea or have made the choice. We are fundamentally social animals. We look to our community, our tribe, for cues on what to believe and how to act. Peer influence is often stronger than top-down authority.
It really is incredible when you lay it all out. Every seemingly impossible feat we talked about, reading a mind, closing a deal, directing attention, it all boils down to specific, understandable, and frankly exploitable rules about how our minds work. Attention, motivation, memory.
And knowing these mechanisms, even just being aware of them, gives you, the listener, a kind of shortcut. You start to see the hidden psychology playing out under the surface of everyday life, in ads and meetings, even just watching a magic show.
You realize the line between a skilled performer and a persuasive leader can sometimes just be about the intent behind using these tools.
Precisely.
And that leaves us with a final, maybe slightly unsettling thought for you to take away. We've seen how our memories aren't recordings, but reconstructions often shaped by what we expect. We've seen how our choices are often guided by learned consequences and cognitive shortcuts, not pure logic. So if our recollections tend to complete themselves based on anticipation, and our decisions are products of these conditioned associations and mental shortcuts, how much of our current understanding, our sense of self, is actually shaped by what we merely expect or anticipate? And how much genuine cognitive control do we really have over the choices we confidently call our own?